Hey y'all, here OS Reviews. In this video, we're taking a quick look at the MagBeats. These are multifunctional mini Bluetooth speakers crafted out of metal, and they also serve double duty as a wireless charging pad in addition to a kickstand for the phone. Some of you guys may recall that a couple of days ago, we actually checked out a very similar product from another brand called Innogo. This was the PowerBeat. However, there were a couple of shortcomings on this particular model, one of them being that there is no IP resistance. So if you're going outdoors by a pool, or if it's raining for instance, they won't really stand up compared to these. MagBeats are actually IP67, making them a little bit more durable. Another feature that was a con on the other model that we saw was it didn't have a built-in microphone for answering phone calls, which is now also present on these. So looking at the spec sheet, it seems that this model addresses all of the cons we had on that previous one when it came to some of those missing functions. So the irony is very little time has passed since then, but we already have a model here that I do think is the better choice. Again, this model is magnetic, so it attaches onto the back of your phone using MagSafe for iPhones as well as for Qi2 enabled Android smartphones. It can just pop into place, or you can use a magnetic sticker accessory on your phone case if you don't have built-in magnets to more securely attach it into place. And these are also not bad in terms of price point. They retail at around $40 a pop. But if you're picking up multiple sets, the pricing comes down lower and there are often discounts available. Again, all crafted out of aluminum alloy, so they feel quite premium, although the size is also going to be a touch wider in terms of the circumference compared to that other variant. It still retains some of the LED RGB lighting, by the way, in the form of a strip here on the front that will glow in the dark. This model does also work in stereo mode. That's why we have a couple of these speakers in front of us. So similar to on wireless buds, you can have a left and right channel if you're picking up a set of two. So we can see all the components inside of the speaker here, and the three specific colors that it comes in include the titanium color, closer to silver compared to graphite, which is going to be a little bit darker, and then you also have a midnight color, which is closer to completely black. A couple of final points here include the wireless charging tops up to 15 watts, and the speakers inside are 40mm drivers, and the battery life is rated for up to 12 hours of playback at around 50% volume, and the RGB lights turn off. Closer look at the packaging here, we have the three different colors presented in front of us. So this is what it looks like on the back of a phone. This is again that silver shade, graphite shade, compared to the midnight, aka kind of a stealth black color is going to be the darkest between the three. Inside we have the speaker itself along with a quick start guide and also a standard USB Type-C charging cable. Some other specs here include Bluetooth 5.3 connectivity, again 3-watt drivers, and this is something to keep in mind. It is using the standard SBC and AAC. So higher res audio codecs like LDAC and aptX lossless are still not supported on this particular model. There is no additional companion app directly from MagBeat, since all the controls are already baked into the built-in buttons. But if you want to adjust the EQ properties, you can tune that yourself using a third-party app. This point is similar to on the Innogo version that we saw previously. So again, you're able to press here to answer incoming calls, adjust the volume, as well as even change the LED light ring as well using the toggles to make them flash more quickly, as well as go into a single color, as well as an equalizer mode that will flash with the beat of the rhythm that we'll see later in this video. And that's another advantage of these MagBeats, because on the previous model that we saw, there was actually no adjustability for any of the colors. They can only be turned on or off, and that was it. So it does seem like it is a more refined version of a similar concept here. Again, looking at them on the side, you can kind of tell that this is going to be the lightest one versus this is in between, although the difference is a little bit more subtle if you don't place them side by side for the two darker colorways. And on the very back, all of them are kind of colored white with a soft touch rubber finish to make it more grippy as you're attaching it onto your phone, as well as the Type-C port there for charging if you're using it in the Qi docking mode. And on the side here is where you'll find multifunctional controls, including power by holding for a couple of seconds. You also see a small notification LED which will stop flashing once it is paired, and also up and down arrow keys that can correspond to changing color patterns as well as volume, and also serving triple duty as skip track controls. And to pair two speakers with one another in the stereo mode, you can double tap on the circle key here on both speakers. And after doing so, the LED of the speaker chained to the other one will turn white, as you can see there. Let's also play back a quick audio demo next. Turning things down there, takeaway is they are definitely going to be much louder compared to any built-in phone speaker. Particularly mids, trebles, vocals, and instrumentals do sound really clean and crisp with plenty of detail. Pretty impressive. There also is a nice hint of bass. Whenever there is a drum beat, for example, it does slightly rattle as you're holding onto it, more so than what is built onto, again, most thinner phones and computers or tablets. Also, responsiveness when it comes to latency doesn't seem to be too problematic, even though they are daisy-chained with one another. For casual YouTube and Netflix, it still seems to be pretty well optimized. Of course, if you are playing back higher frame rate gaming, maybe it's not going to be quite as instantaneous as a wired connection, which is one point that, similar to the InnoGo, there is no 3.5mm headphone jack or kind of aux port anymore on this particular model, so it is wireless only. But again, thanks to a pretty up-to-date Bluetooth chip, I didn't find it to be that problematic. There's very little hints of distortion or static even as we turn the volume down. So overall, even though they're not going to be earth-shattering when it comes to bass compared to larger boombox speakers, for something that is still quite compact at the end of the day, still easy enough to slide into a backpack or pocket, I would say it's still doing a pretty good job compared to the InnoGo version that we also saw previously. Had just a touch more distortion if we are comparing them side by side, but both are quite loud. Now here is a closer look at that built-in magnet. So if we attach it onto a phone, again using a third-party magnetic sticker that you can pick up yourself, or if your phone case has one, or again, if your phone has built-in Qi2 or an iPhone, it should also work as is. So it sticks into place quite firmly. The magnets are pretty strong, and also means that you can pop this onto a fridge or any other metal surface, cabinet for example, if you want to position it somewhere in the room without necessarily holding it onto the phone. But as shown here, it is actually quite secure, and the kickstand mode does indeed function, so you can use it to watch a longer video without holding the phone in your hands. So the MagSafe and Qi2 support here is definitely nice to find. Maybe only one slight con is because the entire outer shell here is crafted out of machined aluminum alloy. Again, super sleek and premium. However, it does mean that when you are setting it onto a table, you have to be a little more careful not to drop it or dent it. It doesn't seem to accumulate scratches too much though, because it is a powdered material compared to being super shiny. But perhaps if they had a soft touch coating on the outer ring or in certain spots, it could make it even more resistant to moving around, adding a bit of protection in the kickstand mode. What I will say though is if you are putting it completely flat like this, of course the speaker grills will be covered up a little bit more. There is no additional tilt function that you have when it comes to the positioning of that kickstand. Moving it forward and back might be another feature that could be nice to consider in the Pro model down the line or next gen revision, but otherwise a very good build. Now, also taking a quick look at the different LED animation modes that we have available, we can press on the two left and right keys together. So the first one here is still the gradient RGB, but now they are aligned or calibrated with one another, so the colors will be matching between the left and right channels if you want that synchronization. Just keep in mind that, like other TWS devices, at most you are connecting two speakers with one another. So even though there's three colors that we're showing here for demo purposes, you can't really daisy chain three of the speakers together if you want even more added volume. Let's also click on the keys here once again, and now it'll be in the kind of reactive visualizer mode. The lighting here is slowly rippling, as you can tell here, with the beat of the music. Can be a slightly more fun kind of party mode per se if you want it to just dance and strobe. Once more here into a consistent kind of blue colored shade, as well as once more here to go into single colors of yellow that we saw there from before. It looks quite good. Again, with that metal trim, it almost looks like it's golden. And then once more here into a purple or violet colorway, but we can turn the lights completely off to consume even less power if we're using them in the daytime, as well as go back into the gradient mode that we saw at the beginning. So definitely not bad when it comes to giving you some of those customization options, which does look pretty cool in a darker space or environment. And now moving into a quick demo of the charging component, so you can plug it into a Type-C port, and we can confirm that there is a second status LED as well dedicated for battery and charging. But in this profile, we just have to set our phone here on top, and then after a couple of seconds, you can see that the charging will automatically begin. It's fast charging wirelessly on supported devices getting upwards of 15 watts. That's going to be faster compared to 7.5 watts, which was the default on Qi 1.0 chargers. So yes, wired charging in general is still going to be a little bit faster on power-hungry devices, but for wireless charging in general, it's not bad. It's quite convenient because you don't have to fiddle around with a port, particularly in darker environments. You can just set it on here for a few hours, maybe if you're going to sleep at night, and and then just wake up with the battery fully charged. It can also act as a kickstand, again, in maybe a nightstand mode, showing the alarm when you are just sleeping at night. So confirming that the charging here does work, still remaining pretty cool in terms of thermals, and it is a smart charger in the sense that when the battery reaches 100%, it will stop charging to prevent any overheating or overcharging as well. And now, last but not least, let's do a quick demo of the microphone quality by starting a recording here. Again, we can confirm that the mic is being picked up on the speaker, moving it closer to my mouth. Test, test, 1, 2, 3. Confirm that the mic is being picked up on the speaker, moving it closer to my mouth. Test, test, 1, 2, 3. So overall, it does seem to be loud and clear enough, I would say, for some quick phone calls. So there is a little bit of noise reduction. It will try to dampen some of the wind sounds, for example. However, I would say if you are trying to use this in really challenging environments where there's a ton of maybe chatter behind you at a cafe shop, it's not going to be quite as sophisticated in its AI noise canceling algorithms as some dedicated speakerphones, but still is nice to have. And also, it's clear enough for voice calls. Maybe if you're doing music recordings, it's not going to be quite as crispy in that sense, but still, again, it's a neat extra that's not found on the other alternative that we saw. So there we have it. That's been just a closer look at the MagBeats, these multifunctional, again, 3-in-1 mini Bluetooth speaker plus wireless Qi2 charger plus kickstand. And for the most part, I'm actually quite happy with these when it comes to sound quality for a smaller travel size speaker, as well as a very solid and premium build. So in summary, I do think of these as a superior alternative to the Inogo version that we saw just a couple of days back. That being said, some minor quirks here would be, again, the metal trim. Perhaps they added a little bit more of soft touch rubber in a next generation model could make it even more wear resistant when you are using it as a kickstand, and possibly considering an optional companion app for EQ controls and maybe allowing a pro version to have LDAC or aptX lossless chip to make them truly hi-fi audiophile grade when it comes to the Bluetooth transmission at the very least would be nice. But as it stands, I really think that these are a very premium and pretty well-designed mini Bluetooth speaker. So you can check out more details if you're interested in something like this. Again, quite multifunctional. These have been the MagSafe / Qi2 mini Bluetooth speakers.